Tell us about the new album. Did you originally intend this to be a sequel to the highly successful Queen of Hearts, or what was sort of the inspiration there?
Yes, it was totally inspired by that. I felt like, well, there seems to be an interest, and I love writing for this kind of style. It reminds me of my upbringing and my, classic background, so it's great. I love doing it, and yeah, it was totally in line with Bridgerton. I mean, hopefully it will expand to a lot of other things, but definitely inspired by Bridgerton.
Where did you record it?
At home, my home studio. Yeah, did all the violins, produced everything.
And then did you produce it, or who produced it?
Yes, I did. I produced it, basically composed, produced, and recorded. I also got a really great cellist, Rowan, to play on it, so that added a lot. And in the end, I also had Alvin Wee, who's a mix engineer extraordinaire, who added a final mix and mastering touch.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What's your favorite track on that new album?
So my favorite tracks, it's kind of funny because they changed names. I have my own name, but let's see. So I used to call it Thinking Back, and now they call it, yes, it's been renamed Depth and Despair. And I can understand why. It's actually a track that is very intimate. It's actually a solo violin track. And it's inspired by Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach. And between his solo suites and Chaconne, that's what inspired me. I find that there's nothing more mature in writing than those suites. Bach wrote them. I remember my teacher telling me, "You're not old enough to play it." Oh, you can play it, you're just not old enough. So you have to have lived a bit to be able to play those things. And so that inspired me, this kind of writing. And yeah.
That's awesome. So you've recorded with some legendary artists over the years.
Uh-huh.
Do you have any stories that you'd like to share, or like one story in particular that stood out?
Well, I remember the project, it's called Portrait in Seven Shades. So Ted Nash and Odeon was a band in New York. I played with them for many years. And eventually he composed a piece for the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra. And I ended up being a soloist, both on record and in concert. And I remember during the rehearsals, I was there, recording with the Jazz at Lincoln Center, and they're all a bunch of amazing performers, all guys, of course, and I'm this white woman coming in this group, and I felt like a little bit of an outsider, but they were so welcoming, and they kept calling me sister. And that was very special for me, to feel that I was welcomed, not only because I come from a classical background, but also, this orchestra of all these guys playing jazz welcoming me as their sister. I thought that was very special. Yeah.
That's really neat. What was it like to play in such a variety of genres, from like classical to jazz to anything else?
It was amazing. It also freaked me out quite a bit sometimes, because I had to really learn new skills fast. I remember learning to play strumming mandolin in a month for a tour, doing back vocals in front of thousands of people, where I had never done that, but it was required, and of course you say yes, we can do it. And learning these different styles was a challenge, but I feel like I've learned so much from that now I have a different perspective on music, and I can combine these different elements and bring that into my music and make my own blend. So I'm really grateful to have done that.
What's the most difficult piece you've ever produced?
Oh God. Quincy Natchoff, he's a colleague and dear friend as well. We've known each other for over 20 years, and we've done projects together. At some point backstage, I said, it would be fun if you could write a violin concerto. And he said yes. Oh my God. And so I commissioned this concerto. He wrote this for me, and it's a jazz contemporary violin concerto. And it was not only kind of death-defying, acrobatic modern violin playing, but it was also jazz improv on a lot of chords that were really tough, you know, not the standard blues or anything. So I had to go from being really classically trained passages to this free improvising on these chords with the, you know, rhythm section. And I think that was the biggest challenge, definitely for my fingers and my mind.
Do you write music specifically with sync in mind?
Well, of course, it depends on the project, but if I am working for an album that is for production music, for example, or a catalog, I will think about it because, of course, I'm aware that the editors need certain things to be able to use the music. So, yes, I do write with that in mind.
And how has like TV and film helped advance classical music in like the modern age?
I think it helped expose a lot of people to it that might not have in other you know, places, because they might not go to the concert hall, but because they're watching their favorite episode, they're going to listen to that music, and maybe they don't even recognize it, but they'll internalize it. Yeah. So.
That's great. Let's see here. I've got like 2 or 3 more. So if you weren't a violinist, what instrument would you play and why?
So it has to be an instrument? Because I mean, I'm just thinking I might be a vocalist as well. Yeah. But if it is an instrument, I would say cello. Yeah, it would be cello because of the tone and because of the combinations of different grooves and effects that I think I would do on the cello. Yeah, probably cello.
Transitioning to some IWD questions, have you seen improvements in the way women are treated in the music industry, or what's your perspective on that?
I've seen a lot of initiative. I've seen a lot of efforts or trials being done. I think there's really a conscious, yeah, I think there's people really trying to make a difference. I'm not sure we're seeing it as much as we would like to see it yet, but I am positive about it. Of course, I'm impatient, but I think we're going to get there.
What are some ongoing issues that you think need to be addressed?
Not necessarily with women in particular, but in general, you mean, or?
Yeah, I could see it relating, you know, just generally in the music industry.
Well, from personal experience and from what I'm noticing, I think right now the major issue is streaming fees and residuals. I think that between the audio or visual platforms, it's become completely unsustainable to live out of these. And it's really discouraging and disheartening because we put our souls into this. We really have to buy a lot of equipment, learn a lot of skills to do these productions, play on extremely expensive instruments to do them, and then we get pennies and cents out of it, and it's really discouraging. Yeah.
Do you feel like classical music is doing its part to empower women?
I think I'm seeing a lot more of these concerts with women composer programs, and also I'm seeing more women conductors, and so I think there is a conscious effort there. I think we're still a long ways, but yes, I do think there's something happening in classical music.
Do you have a message to young girls or advice to them who look up to you and want to be, you know, in your shoes one day?
I'd say really believe in your dream, because when you have a desire in your heart and you really have the will to follow your dream, doors that you do not suspect will open. And I come back to that expression, follow those whispers.